beautiful day with clouds scudding across the sky and 150-year-old birch trees, 80, 90 feet tall on the other side of the Volga. I mean, really an extraordinary, very, very spiritual moment for me. And really that was the intent, is that I've been through many, many ceremonies in many, many different places with many different spiritual sort of intents. And the value of it for me isn't so much that now I'm a Russian Orthodox, or now I'm an Aboriginal animist, but it's a ceremony for me, and we have a society that's very poor in the ceremony, that makes me feel that I've moved to the next level, to the next place in some small way. And 3 guys in rowboats came up, and he said, "Very good, when Christ baptized 3 men in boats, come on." And they watched the whole thing. They were back oaring against the current. They were watching and smiling and approving and everything. And I suddenly, and he kept saying, "Mirotvorets, Mirotvorets," and I realized that I had been baptized peacemaker. And I thought, what a beautiful thing, what a beautiful thing. And that's really been a kind of a part of my life now. And there were so many experiences in that 11 months I can't even begin to talk about it. But because, again, talking about what life has sort of dropped in my lap, I was also in China during Tiananmen Square and went through some very extremely difficult stuff. And we were trying to rescue a guy named Lu Li, who was a student leader, and I got into some serious stuff, man. Not very smart, but then who said I ever was? And I was on the eastern Horn of Africa when the troops came into Somalia for that terrible, terrible thing. The work that I do to be avoided. Well, but the thing is, in each case, I've had extraordinary and wonderful experiences, and that's the globally part, and the locally part, really, and this sort of starts getting more specific to me and catching you guys up. And I mean, I don't know if a lot of you know, but some of you do, I'm sure, that I'm a California State Native American Commissioner. And that's been something that I've done for a long time. As a matter of fact, here's my toy. I'll show you this. I like this. Saved my life in New York last summer. I was staying with a friend, actually, who worked with Ron on Magnificent Seven, Dana Barron. And I did Three Musketeers with her. And I was staying in Dana's apartment, and I came up, and she's in the village there, and it was nighttime, and she was there with her friend France, who's a beautiful woman, with a young guy, Mario, who's like third-generation mafia guy, but very sweet guy. And with a red Ferrari, that was like 1.5 feet off the ground and everything. And we're sitting there talking. I got my bags around my shoulder and everything like that. And we're talking, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, these guys start appearing, and it's lots of pierced stuff and tattoos and torn pants and kind of, stuff. And we were kind of trying to go with the flow and ignore them and just talking, and they started being a little inconsiderate, shall we say, if not rude to the ladies, making comments. And Mario, being Italian, started to pass up a setup like this. Said, you guys must have a lot of gold to have a car like that. And I said, you want to see gold? I'm sitting there with my hip cocked, I put it away, and just continue the conversation. And inside I'm going, so like I say, public service be damned, I got a toy. I'm riding for the brand, folks. But there have been lots and lots of adventures, and certainly the last few years have, since my pledge of beginning to bring stuff together, been extraordinary. What I'm working on now, and I'll touch on it sort of a little bit lightly because I went into more detail with the 8:30 crowd, and I figured they got to be geeks. For us to be there, I'm a geek myself. To show up at 8:30, that's hard, cold and cruel. But what I'm doing right now is a series of PSAs, public service announcements, for California state parks. The theory for me behind it being, as a teacher, is that when kids start shooting kids, you don't say, don't shoot kids. You say, here, look at this. This is wonderful over here. This is a better option. This is a better alternative. And you hope that the ones who you can affect because none of us can pretend to affect everybody all the time, will respond to that. These PSAs are amazing, and an amazing new thing in my life, because really, as a feature movie is to a novel, this short form, 30-second to 60-second PSA is like a haiku, which is a Japanese 17-syllable form of poetry, where you have two lines that set things up, and then all of a sudden you have another line that comes out of the blue and gives a much more resonant, profound meaning to the first two lines. My daughter and I, this is a sidebar, my daughter and I write poems back and forth to each other. And not really haiku, but in a kind of a haiku short form. Some of them are really funny. I mean, there's this one that she wrote that I can't remember the first two lines, but we have lots of cats in our house. And you know, you're trained with those little water sparrows sometimes if they're, climbing on a Picasso or something. And one of her haikus was something like, "We sat in the room, the silence was golden. We heard a meow. He said, 'Squirt the cat, squirt the cat.'" So if Ron ever gets in trouble, squirt the cat, squirt the cat. But these PSAs are sort of an extraordinary new thing, and in a way, it's like old Hollywood, the aspect of it that I grew up in, where you can have an idea, you can produce it. I'm also working in Spanish language programming now, and producing and writing and directing and a lot of stuff. And in those two areas, you can do what you used to be able to do in Hollywood in the 30s. You can have an idea, you can write it, you can produce it, you can direct it, you can star in it, It's like, you sell tickets, well, use my parents' garage, I'll hang a sheet, but on the highest level. And because I was representing state parks, I was able to get contributions of facilities and equipment from Earl Hudson Paramounts that were worth millions of dollars that I could never gotten as an actor, and money from Warner Brothers and USC computer and editing facilities open for free. And so it's really a wonderful opportunity to do short films in a very sort of beautiful way. And I'll quickly give you an idea of one, maybe two of them. The one that I'm working on now is for California State marine sanctuaries and beaches. Because one of the things that folks don't know much in that area is, that in Malibu, we don't own the beaches. It belongs to you guys, or whoever lives in Inglewood or Compton or Fresno, or, Yeah, and it's very important to me because I'm a strong believer in the healing power of nature. We've had a lot of AIDS kids, younger AIDS kids who come up and we take on rides with our horses. And Kate, my wife, and I run a horse ranch. We've got about 50 head now. For clients, it's a training boarding barn. They're not mostly our horses, but we have our own. And we take these kids up, and I've seen kids literally transformed in a moment. And that transformation, yes, they have to go back to the realities of their life somewhere else. But nonetheless, there's another blossom in their bouquet. And goodness knows, we all need the beauty of flowers and just basically beauty around us whenever possible. Helps put things in context. And so what I'm trying to do with these PSAs is to let people know that the land is theirs, and that they can come out to the beaches, and that they can spend time as a family. There's an amazing healing quality with beaches and waves and water, and and you can't really talk about it much. You can't really describe it. It just is. You can see it in its effect. I mean, right in the canyon that I worked for 20 years to save, and they were going to put 78 homes into it, and last year it was made into a park. And that's one of the things that as I lay dying will bring a smile to my lips when I'm 180 and Bali surrounded by all my family and lovers. Well, this first PSA basically is mostly stock footage. And the slogan that I came up with for the campaign is, "Do you believe in magic? Come be part of something wonderful, California State Parks." And this one starts out, imagine the most beautiful shot of dolphins. It's like I'm using all the best stock footage in the world, and I'm getting it from all the sources available. National Geographic, National Wildlife, National Audubon, Al Giddings, Dolphin Link, even some guys who sent me some stuff last week from French Polynesia that they just shot that nobody's seen. And imagine the most beautiful shot of dolphins that you've ever seen. floating in the water, blue-green water, sun shafting through from above.